stylish Naija YouTube channel. So I want to say thank you guys. I appreciate you guys a lot for subscribing and to my channel. I thank you for the support you guys have been giving me. I really do appreciate it a lot. If you are new to my channel and you haven't subscribed already, I would appreciate if you would subscribe and then like my videos, share them with your soulmates. So today I'm going to be showing you how to cut and sew a fringe skirt. If you can call it a fringe skirt, you can call it a flounce side skirt, you can call it a fringe. So all of them, they are like the same, flounce. So you could see the picture up there. So that's actually what I'm going to be showing you. It's really simple and easy, and this skirt is a trendy skirt now. Yeah, it is a trendy skirt. So I'm going to be showing you how to cut and sew and that skirt. Even a beginner, you can pull this off. So I'm just going to explain some things before I continue. So this is the fabric that I'm going to be using to make this skirt. So I'm making use of this Ankara and fabric. It's about 2 yards, but I've already folded it out, the front and the back and piece for it. So this is the full length this is the full length. So I'm just trying to control it so my camera captures it. So for this kind of skirt, you are going to use your hip and line measurement. That's what you will use to fold the skirt. So for this, the hip that I'm making use of is 40 inches. So when you divide 40 into 4, I'm going to add 4 inches allowance to it. So at the end of the day, so you see what I have about 14 inches or 14.5 inches, which is just ideal and just okay. And it's going to give me a really good skirt. That's the shaping. So I have my lining here also, which is 2 yards. I'm going to, after cutting the Ankara, I'm going to cut out the lining. And then for the fringe or the flounce on the side, you can decide to make use of any fabric of your choice. So you can decide to make use of a chiffon or you make use of a satin. But I think I'm going to make use of chiffon because chiffon is a little bit soft, so it will make it to dangle more. So what I'm going to be making use of, I'm going to make use of about 2 yards of chiffon. So after cutting, so I'm just going to leave this on the side. So after cutting, we're going to come back to this. So let's just cut out our straight and skirts. So I'm just trying to find which chalk will be so. I think I should use the white one. Yeah. So the first thing you are going to do when I'm making a skirt like this, here's what you are going to do. So I'm just going to pull this. So this is the full length. So I'm making use of the full length. The first thing is the full length of my skirt. So I'm going to start from this point, and then the full length of the skirt. What I actually want for the full length of my skirt is actually about 42 inches. So this is 42 inches. And you know that Ankara is usually 45 inches. So I'm just going to leave on this part. I'll use it to turn the skirt. So it will be on the fold that will be inside. So we're going to measure out the waistline. So the basic line for you to put on a skirt like this is the hip line. So I will use the Savage as my start line. So my hip line, I'm making use of 9 inches. You can make use of 10 inches for somebody that is very tall. So I'm just going to use, so you see it properly. So you can make use of 10 inches, between 9 and 10 inches. And then for my knee line, for the knee, I'm going to make use of about 20 inches. That's the knee. That's from my waist. That's from the waist to the knee. It's 20 inches. And then the full length. So this is the full length, which is 42 inches. So the next thing I will do now, I'm going to measure out the waist measurement. So the waist of this skirt, my waist measurement is 34 inches. So this is 34, and then you divide 34 into 4. So that's just for a beginner. That's just like the easiest way. You can use your tape. You can just fold your tape like that. So this is it, and then I'll add 2 inches or 2 inches allowance. It's okay, 1.5 inch allowance. So this is that. So I'll come to the hip line. This is the hip line, and then I'll put my hip measurement, which is 40, like I told you initially. when you divide 40 into 4, you have 10 inches. So this is 10. And then I'm going to repeat the allowance that I have there. So I'm going to repeat the allowance here. 2 inches allowance. And then I'm going to connect them together like this. So I'll connect them together, and then I'll come to the knee line. So it is a straight skirt, but even though I'm making a straight skirt, I usually don't really like wide knees for my skirts, because when the knee area is wide, it tends to make the dress, any dress of your dress, any garment, tends to make it shapeless. So for the knee part, I'm going to reduce the knee line measurements. I'll reduce it by I'm going to make use of 8 inches. And then I'll add the 2 inches also. So I'm just going to connect it like this. So you see the skirt now, it's looking so straightened up. So I'm just going to pull it up. So we'll be coming to the down part of the skirt. So for the down part of this skirt now, you're going to determine how wide you actually want the down part to be. Because on this skirt, I'm going to put a back slit. Yeah, I can decide to make it a front slit. No, let's do a back slit. Back slit will be okay. So I'm going to measure the down part of my skirt. So I'm going to make use of 10 inches. So 10 inches for a skirt like this, when you are checking the front, it's always good you use to check it like this. That's if I'm using 10. So at the end of the day, this is going to be 20. 20 might be too and slim, so I'm going to make use of about 22 inches. That's 11. So when you divide 22 into 2, you have 11 inches. So this is 11 inches. So like I said initially, I folded the back and the front together. The back is 2 inches and bigger than the front because of the zipper allowance. So I'm cutting both of them together. So I'm just going to I'll add the stitching allowance to it, and then I'm going to use my straight ruler. So you see the skirt, it is really simple and easy to draft. So I'm going to cut it out now. So the back and part, I'm going to put a notch for my zipper part because I'm going to open it up, but I want to cut the lining first. So in cutting and the lining, you're just going to place it, because you see that the Ankara is longer than the lining, so which is just perfect, because the lining is not supposed to be longer. You're supposed to reduce your lining with about 2 inches. As if you are doing full lining, you're supposed to reduce it with about 2 inches, and you can see from what I have here, the lining is about 2 inches and shorter. So the lining is just like the full length of my skirt. So I'm trying to place it. So you are just going to place it like this, and then you are going to cut it exactly. So this is the back, and then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to repeat the same process for the front. So we're done with our skirt. The next thing, we're going to go and start stitching them together. So I'm going to stitch the lining. So you're going to use the measurements. That's the actual measurement of the skirt. You're going to use it to stitch the lining together, and then the fabric, we're going to fix our fringe on the sides before we join them together. So the next thing we're going to do now, we're going to cut out our flounce. Okay, so I'm going to start cutting the flounce on the side now. So I'm going to be making use of a chiffon and fabric, like I told you. So here's what we are going to do. In order for you to know the length of what you are going to do, because we are going to be pleating it along the stitch and line. So you are going to measure the full length of the skirt. So I'm measuring it from this point like this, and then to the hem, I have 45 inches, which is the full length of an Ankara that I'm using. So 45 inches, that's what I have. So what I'm going to do now You can decide to double on this measurement, because since you are going to be pleating it, you can decide to double it, you can decide to triple it. So my own, I'm going to double it, since I'm going to do on the both sides. So I'm going to double it. So I'm going to cut out a 90 inches for one, and then 90 inches for the other one. So that's four pieces. So the easiest way for you to do this, in order not to get you confused, this 45 inches, that's what we're going to use as our radius. We're going to cut 2 here, and then we're going to cut 2 for the other side. So we're going to cut it 1-1, because the fabric is not as long as that. We're going to cut it 1-1, then we're going to join it at the end of the day. So I'll just fold my fabrics. You can decide to cut it in a flay form, you can decide to cut it in a flounce form, so it depends on what you actually want. So mine, I'll cut it in a flay form, so because I want to be able to manipulate it properly. So I'm just going to use your regular peplum formula, your flay formula, 6.28, 45 divided by 6.28. That's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to have 7.2. So the radius that I'm going to cut out now is going to be 7.2. And then the length of your fringe, you can choose how much length you want. So mine, I think I'm going to be making it about 6 inches. I want it to come out properly. I'll make it about 6 inches. So I'll make 6.5 plus the allowance. I'm going to use my peplum formula now to cut this out. So I'll just mark on this point like this. So I folded it into 4. I'm trying to measure out my radius. So I'll measure out the length. So I think I'm going to make it 7 inches. So I'll have enough room, because I'm going to be doubling it. I'll sew it and turn. So let me make it 7 inches, so I'll have room for all that. So I'm going to cut out the radius part now. So you see what I have. I'll open it up on the side. Okay, so I'm going to open it on the side now. So you see what we have now. So what I'm going to go and do now, I'm going to start and stitching. So I finish and cutting out all of them. So I'm going to join them together. So like I said, you can decide to cut out and the 45 inches that I use, you can decide to cut out 2, join them. But if you want it fuller, you should cut out 3. So that's 45, 3 piece for one side, on one side of your skirt, and then 3 piece on this side, and then 3 piece on this side. So because we're going to pleat them. So I'm going to take them now to my machine. I'm going to sew and turn. So you can decide to leave them like this, but our advice is it's always better for you to sew and turn, so it will give it that fullness. Or you can decide to use an overlock machine just to lock the edges and use it like this. Okay, so I finished stitching and turning them together, so you can see them. So I'm just going to keep it on the side and then show you how we're going to measure it out here. So the first thing, I've added my dart to my skirt. So I'll come to my hip line. So this is my hip line. And then my knee line. This is the knee lines. These are just like the important lines here. So this is the center of my hip line. I'm going to measure out my waist line and measurement. This is the center. So you're going to use the exact measurement. This is my waistline. That's where you are going to pleat. That's where we're going to pleat it on. And then this is my knee line. Sorry, my hip line. That's the measurement of my hip, which is 40. And then the knee. So I'm going to use 17 or 18 inches. Depends on how slim you want it to be. So I'll connect them together like this. So this is the right side of my fabric knot. I'll connect it like this, and then I'll take it down to the hemline. So I'm just going to use the shape like this, and then I'll mark it down to my hemline. So it depends on how wide you want the down part of your skirt to be. That's what you are going to use. So 20 inches is okay for me. So I'm going to take them now to the machine and then stitch pleat along the line. So it's really simple and easy. So I'll take my lining also. So you see the top part of my flounce. So I stitched it up. So that's the part that will be on the waistline. So I'm not going to sorry, please excuse me. So it's going to be starting from this point like this. So I'm just going to start attaching it. So I'll stitch it on this line. So at the end of the day, when I take the back piece, I'm going to place it like this and then stitch the back piece also. So I'll show you as I do that. So I'm just going to place it like this. So you're just going to do very tiny pleats because it is already curved. So it depends on how full you want it to be. That's what you're going to use to do this. So I finished stitching the first one. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to stitch the second one. So you just pleat it along the line. So you see it's looking so beautifully well. I'll stitch the second one now. So this one also, I'm going to stitch it like this, stitch it along this line this way. So when you join, it's going to come like this. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, so I finished stitching it to the down. So the next thing now, I'm going to take my back piece. So I'll bring this in like this. Because what we're going to be stitching, was going to be stitching along this line. That's where I'm going to be joining them. So you just bring the ruffles, bring them inside like this, and then you take the back piece. So I'm going to place the back piece. So you make sure this one is dropping down. So I'm going to stitch it along this line. So the best and easiest way for you to do this is for you to pin, just pin it down. So to make it easier, so you can stitch from the other side, just following the line. So you pin it along. So after pinning, you are going to start stitching from here. So I will advise you, what you do, you just stitch a little bit outside the line. So with that, it's going to really be perfect. Just a tiny bit, just almost along on the same line, like this. So you make sure that the ruffles, everything is inside, so it doesn't come out. As you are stitching, watch it, make sure it is straightened out properly, and then you stitch. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing on this other side now. So you see what I did. You make sure your ruffle it should not get to the down part of your skirt. So you leave about 1 or 2 inches that you use to fold it. So with that, you won't have any problem. So I'm just going to stitch the other side and then finish up the waistline and then put it on the mannequin for you to see the final look of my skirt. So make sure it is inside and then stitch along the line. Okay guys, so at the end of the day, you could see what we have. So you see our skirt is finished, our ruffled skirt. So you see it's looking so beautifully well. So I really don't know what else to say. So thank you so much guys. If you find this illustration helpful, please hit on the like button and then share it with your friends. So thank you so much guys. I'll see you in my next video.